2. And welcome to the Geek EZ. On tonight's show, we have no idea what we're going to talk about. So,
what's with the big announcer voice?
I don't know. I was going to go right into the opening. On tonight's show, we talk this, talk that, talk this, and I got nothing.
Really, I thought we were going to talk about bat season.
Wabbit season.
Wabbit season.
Bat season.
Wabbit season.
Robin season.
Aww.
Why is there no logos? What's going on here?
Malfunction.
That is really weird. Very odd.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice, the Super Friends keep...
Exactly. That is really weird.
Whales!
Really?
What is really?
It's telling me that the file's missing. That means that's not good.
Uh-oh.
No, that means one of my external drives is not connecting.
Whoopsie.
I could fix that while we're talking, so I could run the opening because the opening's working just fine. Let's run the opening while I get this working. It's all right. It's all right. We'll be back in 60 plus seconds, and from there, like I said, we have no idea what we're going to talk about. A couple of things, but it's one of those days.
The following podcast is intended for mature audiences. The opinions expressed do not reflect this station or any affiliated partners. Listener discretion is advised. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geek EZ.
Just talking? Well, what's the show about?
It's about nothing.
And like I said, I'd have it fixed by the time I got back. And I do.
Miracle worker.
Well, because you guys, we were talking about this just before we went live. You guys haven't been following it. I've been keeping tabs on it just because I'm a Star Wars fanatic. And the drama involving the Han Solo film just keeps getting weirder and weirder. Last week, Kathleen Kennedy, well, it was said that they walked away from the film, that the directors Miller and Lord walked away from the film, when it wasn't true that they actually got canned. They got fired. Kathleen Kennedy came in and started swinging an axe, and they were the first to go. Right after our show, like, was it the same night? Was it that night they announced it?
Pretty much.
Yeah, they announced Ron Howard. The next morning, Ron Howard was going to be taking over the reins on the film, which was, I guess, a few weeks from finishing up.
Help me, Opie-Wan.
Yeah, Opie-Wan, Cunningham Opie. Opie-Wan. Opie-Wan, you're my only hope. But that was all well and good. Ron Howard's a big Star Wars fan, even though he did say The Phantom Menace was amazing back when it was released. But we won't hold that against him because he has made some really, really great films, and he's a really good director. And he knows George Lucas because Lucas, I guess, gave him his big start, kind of in films. He was in American Graffiti. He was already a name before that. He was Opie, and he went on to do Richie Cunningham and a whole bunch of other things. He directed Willow. Did he not?
Honestly.
Was Willow his?
Yep,
Apollo
directed
was
Willow.
Apollo 13.
Yeah, he did Willow. Didn't he also do a movie that he starred in as well called Grand Theft Auto?
Maybe.
All I think of is the game.
Really, all I think of is Vice City.
Well, same principle.
I don't know, maybe.
Well, anyway.
Well, either way, he's been named as director. The way it went down, the firing, I'm guessing Lucasfilm was not happy with what they were seeing coming out in dailies, that the directors who seem to like to rely on improv rather than a script, which kind of ticked off Lawrence Kasdan, who wrote the film. He was like, I wrote a script for a reason. He was brought in to watch over them, which they didn't like too much, because they felt they were not being given the creative freedom that they were promised. The problem is you can't walk into some place, you can't get hired and say you're going to paint somebody's house red and then start painting it blue and wondering why they're getting mad at you. If they wanted to film a certain way, you have to give them a certain way. Let's see, there was more. I guess when Ron Howard was announced as director, the cast and crew applauded when they heard the news on set that Ron Howard was going. So, I mean, obviously there was a lot of not happy stuff going on with the directors they had. On top of all of this, I can never remember, his name is Aldrin Ehrenreich? Is that his name? Do I have that right? The actor playing Han Solo.
I don't know, honestly.
They say there are reports coming out that Lucasfilm, i.e. Kathleen Kennedy, was not happy with his performance. So an acting coach was brought in, and that's kind of scary to think that, I mean, it was like, you shot 3/4 of your movie already, and everything they've seen they don't like. Not a good sign. So it looks like Ron Howard has his hands full. Kind of like Joss Whedon in Justice League. Is it going to feel like a Joss Whedon film, or is it going? I mean, I have no doubt that Ron Howard would be able to pull off a Star Wars film. I would actually say that if with him pulling the strings, it will feel more like Star Wars than the, as they put it, Ace Ventura in space that we were going to get with the two comedy directors who were directing the Han Solo film. And you can't improv Star Wars.
Oh, God.
Sorry.
No.
It's like trying to improv Star Trek. You can't do it.
Well, it doesn't make a lot of sense either.
No, it doesn't. It's like, oh, just say what you want to say. It's like, I can't do that. This is Star Wars, man. But I mean, again, it was now Rogue One was a film no one had asked for, but everybody seemed to love. I know a few people, I've read a few recently where they were like, "Oh, the movie sucked. It was horrible. How can you say?" It was like, I honestly think it felt more like Star Wars than The Force Awakens. It's not just in a nostalgia way.
I would totally agree. Yeah.
It felt lit, and the world just, I mean, it just felt like that world. It had that feeling to it. Which I can say, even though I don't like Voyager as a show, it felt more like Star Trek than Deep Space Nine.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
It just had there's a tonal feel that Star Trek always had that Deep Space Nine. Not maybe until the later seasons did it start. I mean, maybe it's because they were on ships more and stuff. I don't know, but the first couple of seasons, while it was a great show, it really was a great show. It was one of my favorite Star Trek shows. It just didn't have that feel. So
well, maybe it's because they, were on more Federation vessels, and so, whereas Deep Space Nine, the station is very much not Federation, so it always had a different tone to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like I said, it wasn't bad. It didn't make the show a bad show. It just didn't feel like Star Trek the same way. I mean, it was still Star Trek. It was set in that world, but it's like Force Awakens being so far, I mean, I don't know, so far in the future from Return of the Jedi, and to be perfectly honest, while I'm still happy that they're making more Star Wars films, Return of the Jedi pretty much seemed like the end. It was like, where do you go from here? The new storylines, I really hope I like what they come up with episodes 8 and 9, but we'll see. But as for Han Solo, I don't care. I mean, it was like it's like a Han Solo film never got it never blew my skirt up.
I didn't want that movie in the first place.
Yeah.
You don't really need it. There's some characters that you just, if you do it in novel form or just fine, you don't need to make a whole movie about it or even more than one movie.
Now, I still want a Boba Fett movie in the style of the Clint Eastwood Man with No Name trilogy.
Even then, I would rather see an Obi-Wan film.
And I don't feel we need one on that one either, just because we know where he is. He's on Tatooine. He stays there.
True. But Han Solo was always, I mean, you were introduced to this character. I mean, he was very much fleshed out. You knew who he was. You knew what he was about, and that was it. Whereas I thought Obi-Wan's story can still be told. It's just different. I don't know. It's just a different kind of character. It's like Obi-Wan. It's like, do I really want to watch a young Han Solo win the Millennium Falcon? Do I really want to watch a young Han Solo make deals with Jabba the Hutt or save Chewbacca? Like, I don't know. There are stuff that, I mean, this is going back and rehashing stuff that has been already established, even though they're erasing the expanded universe. But, I mean, there are still storylines that have to stay put because how did he meet Chewbacca? Lucas set that up. Lucas said, well, he saved Chewbacca. Well, there you go. We know how that happened. Kind of like how we knew Vader was going to become Vader. Obi-Wan and him were fighting on a volcano. It's how it happened. I knew about that kind of stuff. I knew about the whole volcano thing years before the prequel trilogy.
At least a decade.
Yeah. So, I mean, it wasn't like something we knew. Yeah.
He got burned.
Yeah, he got burned. And how did he get burned? Well, Obi-Wan kicked him into a pit of lava. That changed slightly, but I mean, it was still lava planet, Obi-Wan, him fighting. We knew that was going to happen. Whereas Han Solo, I don't needs the backstory. I mean, I could be wrong. We could see this film, and it could be another one. It could be like a Rogue One, where it's like, holy cow, how did we say we didn't want that?
Well, it's not sounding good if they have to bring in an acting coach.
That's true.
Or at the very least, if they were trying to do Ace Ventura in space, which that doesn't make any sense to me either, because in order for a director to get the position to do it, don't they have to talk to them and say, okay, what would be your vision for this idea? And, well, this is what, they'd say that this is what we think of, and so on and so forth. So basically, they should have known ahead of time what they were thinking.
Well, but that's just, there can be, I guess these guys, I mean, I have never seen their films, as far as I know, aside from the Lego movie.
You never saw 21 Jump Street?
No. I refused. I was like, 21 Jump Street was not a comedy. It was not a comedy TV show. It was a teen angsty police show back in the 80s that I watched a few episodes of, and that's what I remember. Why do I want to go watch, what's his name? Chunky Boy and Shannon, what those two?
It was actually pretty good.
And then it was like, I saw the ending of it. I saw where Johnny Depp, oh, spoiler alert, Johnny Depp gets shot. Him and Peter DeLuise. I saw that. But I mean, I would never have, there was no draw to it. It's kind of like the Chips movie for me. It's like, why would I want to go see this film?
Well, I heard one of the things is they pissed off Kazdan because he's a very much shoot what's written on the page type director. Yes. And they like improvisation. So they were shooting his line 3 or 4 different ways and then letting the actors improvise in other takes. And I guess their plan was to select the best one.
Yes.
But they haven't gotten that far, it sounds like.
Which is not in and of itself a bad method. Sometimes you actually get a better take letting them come up with their own thing on it than others.
I
look what happened with Solo.
Supposedly the cast, or the crew at least, cheered when Howard was announced.
Yes.
And that says a lot right there.
I'm guessing there was a lot of tension on the set between the actors and the director and the producers, the writer and the director. When you've got that much tension on the set, and I've been on small commercial sets where there's the commercial and the director and the producer of the commercial are all chewing each other out for a camera setup, And you're like, guys, it's a 30-second commercial. What is the big deal? It's a big deal to the people who wrote it. It's a big deal to the person who's getting the money for it. It's like, oh, I have a vision like this, and the writer is like, no, this is what's on the page. Why would you go and do? It creates tension everywhere. When they're not happy, they take it out on everybody else for one, and it's really bad when you watch a PA get chewed out for the wrong cup of coffee, and all he did was get the wrong cup of coffee, and that kind of stuff. It's just not fun to see that kind of stuff, and it creates tension everywhere. The lighting guys, the sound guys, I mean, the grips are all at each other's. Everybody's at each other's throat, and they don't know why. It's because of the tension on the set. It starts from the top down.
I was kind of reading between the lines, and while I think there was some disagreement with the direction Lord and Miller wanted to take it, I think Kasdan may have been a large part of the problem, and it's one of those situations of, this is a Star Wars movie and Kasdan is a Star Wars legend, so if the directors can't work with him, you can't get rid of Kasdan. It's the directors that have to go, and Kasdan probably knows better than to interfere too much with Ron Howard, as opposed to two young directors who have only done, you know, comedy stuff before this.
True. Now, I'll say, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are saying that Kathleen Kennedy is being too much of a hard ass about.
Is he breaking
Yeah,
up
he's
everybody else?
Yep, he is, unfortunately.
I'm breaking up.
I think the stream was just delayed for a second, but it seems to be better
my
now.
internet. Gorgeous. I mean, yeah, but the Kathleen, there's petitions out there that I've seen too, that am I still breaking up?
No.
Okay, that they want Kathleen Kennedy removed as president. Now, one of them I'm gathering is a bunch of beta males out there that are all upset that there's a woman in power over Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all the other Lucasfilm properties, and well, how she's a woman, so
yeah, but she's also
like
a powerhouse.
She's been
a
with
powerhouse
them since the beginning.
She knows what she's doing. She knows exactly what she's doing.
Yeah,
everything that she does is great. Okay, and the thing is, when I hear it described as Ace Ventura in space, all the alarm bells start going off. I go, well, if that's what the directors were doing, then they were so far off the mark, they weren't even in the same solar system.
Yeah, and the idea that Kathleen Kennedy needs to, it's like, do you realize how many movies that you love that she produced? So many films out there.
Oh my God, yes.
That you would not, I mean, it's just like, wow, I didn't realize she was part of that. Oh, I didn't realize she was part of that. She has literally, there are photographs of her on the sets of basically every blockbuster that ever came out between like the 1980s and now. I mean, she has had her hands in a lot of big films.
Yep.
And she wasn't chosen just because. She was chosen and handpicked by Lucas for a reason.
She knows the stuff. She knows everything about it.
She knows what she's doing. And the idea that people, I mean, again, I laugh because one of the petitions was really a bunch of threatened men. I was like, really? Is your penis that small that you have to worry about this? I mean, you have you're a construction worker in the middle of the Midwest somewhere, and you're worrying about a woman running a movie studio in Los Angeles.
But their penis is so huge.
Yeah. So, it's just like, you know what? I don't understand this. It's like it's the sexism side of this. It really irks me. Sexism and racism irk me to no end. And while the call of sexism comes out a lot where there's not, when it's blatant like this one, it was like, dudes, really? Really? It's like, no, because you can't even hide this one. It was just this was the, I've got a big truck and I have to prove something. And it's like, no. She's fine where she is. She's the perfect person to have in there. She has a boss who seems to understand that, because Bob Iger seems to understand what's going on with all the properties he's got his hands now in his lap. I mean, it's not just Star Wars and Lucasfilm. He's got Marvel as well, and Pixar and all the other. I mean, the three big money makers in Hollywood right now are his, and he's got a lot on his plate. But he seems to be doing a good job with it. And I think I just read a report where they were okay with what they've seen. Disney seemed to be okay with it, but Lucasfilm, I guess, still has the control over Star Wars. So if they're not happy, Disney's not happy.
I heard somebody said that much of what has been shot is usable, but that sounds like the sort of thing where you got to get the right person in there editing it, maybe.
Well, not only that, but if it's as you described, where they were shooting direct from the source material and then improvising on top of that, then they probably have some usable footage. They're just going to have to chuck all the comedic yuck stuff.
Well, if not all of it, certainly most of it. You know, little levity here and there is okay.
Well, and that's to be expected because Han Solo does have his funny moments.
Hey, it's me.
I know.
But they're not. It's not he's not. Alrighty then, kind of funny. It's Han Solo has a different kind of funny. Han Solo is he's what's the word? Facetious. He's funny and or humorous at inopportune moments.
He drops the Falcon into a docking bay and goes, "Hey, Kiki love."
No, he just smashes it in between two other ships and he goes like a glove.
Oh dear Lord, no.
Hey, Kiki love.
But again, when they haven't announced the new one yet, right? The other standalone.
Oh, I'll look it up. Keep going.
I thought they were supposed to sometime this month, but they still have 2 days, so we'll never know. But I really think it's an Obi-Wan film, which is why they've been keeping Ewan McGregor from saying anything. But we'll see.
Just untitled currently, although the only thing, I mean, there's a lot of rumors bouncing around.
And who knows what kind of adventures Obi-Wan got into in between dropping Luke off and picking him up again.
Well, we were talking about overdoing it. It's like, do we really need to know all the ins and outs of what Han Solo did? They seem to be doing this a lot with the Star Wars universe now, because everything is now technically, I hate this word, but it's canon. The books that are now, and they're all canon. So what's said in the comic books has to be approved.
They're all tied together.
They're all tied together. They are overdoing it in the Darth Vader book. They are there's stuff going on now. Well, the books aren't too bad from what I've read, but they're definitely overdoing stuff in the Vader book they're over explaining things that really didn't need to be explained. And that was my fear with the Han Solo thing. It's like, yes, I know. Yes. I think we have internet usage in the house that is taking up space. Hello? Anybody? I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Internet is just really not really good right now. I mean, really bad. Why is my internet so bad?
Your children say they're in bed. They're really not.
Got to shut off.
It probably isn't.
Oh, my VPN jumps all over the world, so it says it's like, yeah, I'm supposed to be connecting in the US close to me, yet I open up Google and it's in Brazil. So
who are you hiding from?
Nobody. I was just using the VPN that I got for dirt cheap when I got a Humble Bundle.
There you go.
I'm back. Okay, I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to break up, and it's going to sound really horrible on the live stream and the recording, but how much of that did you miss?
But that's what
All
it sounded. That's what it sounded like. It was like no.
So when I was talking about all the over explanation that's going on,
we caught snippets of that. You're talking about the Vader book, the new one that they're over explaining.
Yes, they're over explaining too much. It's like they've done 2 Darth Maul books already. That's way too much.
Don't need it.
No, it's like bring new characters.
Well, they're standalone stories, at least with all. Little stories, and so they're short runs. So that one, not so bad. But the later one, especially now, is like you got to make a lightsaber crystal bleed. Like, really?
Yeah, I was trying today. I had this conversation with my 11-year-old son because we were just Rogue One, and we got into. He goes, "This lightsabers are blue and green, right?" I was like, "Yeah," but Ahsoka had a yellow one. He's like, "Where'd she get a yellow one?" I was like, "Well, she also has white ones in the Clone Wars or in Rebels." And he's like, "Well, where did that come from?" And I was like, "Well, they explained it in the book that she healed the crystals that were in one of the Inquisitor's lightsabers that she was being hunted by." And he was like, "Healed the crystals?" So I had to go explain to him what the Emperor had just explained to Vader. And he looked at me like, "Are you kidding me?"
Nah.
Because then he got into, "Well, how come Mace Windu's is purple?" And I was like, "Because Mace Windu skirts the dark side." He looked at me like, "What do you mean he skirts the dark side?" He's like, "He works on the edge of the light and the dark side of the Force, which is why his lightsaber blade is purple, not blue." He goes, "Well, that makes sense because red and blue make purple." I was like, "Yes." He goes, "But it doesn't make any sense. Did he make his lightsaber bleed just a little bit?" To which I was like, "Okay, see, I liked it better when the explanation wasn't there."
It was supposed to be that they had unique colors, and it used to be a much more unique back in the day, and then they just became more standardized to blue, green, yellow, and with random ones thrown in here and there because they found it there. And in the case of Mace Windu, supposedly that's what he found. He found the purple one, which I think seems more fitting. They're finding it and working with what is there, not basically coming up with something, "Oh, we made it bleed," or whatever.
Well, actually, it's purple because Samuel L. Jackson said, "Can my lightsaber be purple?"
Oh, sure,
Yes.
and I get that, and that's fine. But I'm saying story-wise, it within that universe, I think it makes more sense that he discovered it. This is what called to him. This was the crystal for him. Just the fact that it turned out purple works out for him.
And there was an explanation in the EU a bit about the crystals within the sabers, and that the red sabers were a
synthetics,
synthetic, and that kind of worked as well. It didn't kind of explain the purple lightsaber, but then there was the other. I mean, there was more. There was talk before the whole Vader thing came out that there was a perversion that went on, that the dark side of the Force, because they have to use the Force to make the lightsabers. And the perversion from the dark side alters the crystal itself, making the blade red, not making the crystal hurt and bleed. That's taking it a step too far. I think that's way over explanation of something. So I don't know.
Unless it's one of those, it's just a phrasing used. You're going to make it bleed. How do you make it bleed? Well, you're going to use the Force to basically pervert its nature.
Mm-hmm.
Which, okay, if that's what they're going with, I'd get it. But we'll see in the next possibly 2 books.
What, in the Vader books?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he's got to kill a Jedi and because he needs to take the crystals and make them his own.
Yeah, problem is he's going up against a certified badass.
Yes, a new character, by the way.
A new character who looks like he's had a rough life.
Yes.
The only thing he lives for. He didn't go into the war. He just, sat aside. If he ever showed up, his job was to show up and fight.
I'm curious. I'm very curious. Because this comes from the posting that Alistair tagged me in about 3 or 4 days ago. Using your month that you were born and the characters associated with that month, would you survive if Vader showed up and you had this character with you? I got Yoda. And I'm thinking, well, not only would I survive, I'm pretty sure Vader would die. Do you think Yoda could take Vader?
Oh, totally.
He couldn't take the Emperor.
The Emperor's a different beast, though, as it were. Basically, especially if you go with the novelization, what Yoda was doing, they were pretty much equal, and yet the fight itself was actually making the Emperor stronger, and that's when he realized, oh, I can't do this. If you go by the films, or by the film, he actually probably had a good chance to defeat him. It just didn't work out that way, and so he's like, no, I'm not going to be able to do this, and so that's why he left, put himself in exile. Because, again, they're too close, too equal. is why Mace Windu could have defeated
Mace Windu.
Mace Windu, not Window.
Well,
Again, novelization. Mace's saber was actually being pushed back towards him in the film. Obviously, that didn't happen because that's just how they filmed it. So again, there could have been a chance that Mace could have won. Like there could have been a chance that Yoda could have won in the films.
Then you have to also remember the way it was set up was that their ability to use the Force had been diminished.
They had mentioned that, yeah.
So there was that aspect of it. By the time Luke rolls around, I think
they mentioned that once and then never again.
Well, they showed it. They never mentioned it. They showed it. They showed the Jedi being beaten easily. They showed the Jedi not being able to understand. The idea that they have like a sixth sense kind of thing. It's like, would you not realize that all the troopers that you're dealing with are about to turn on you?
You should have sensed the hostile intent, regardless of the fact that you were around them for over 2 years.
Well, Yoda did. Yoda did, yeah.
But he's the only one, and he's probably because he was sensing everybody else die around. He was like, Yeah, that's hard to say, but yeah, he picked up on it. But everybody else was still focused on whether it was the only other one who didn't was Plo Koon, who was like, oh crap. And even let's see, we had Plo Koon who managed to deflect a few shots. We had what's her name?
Plo Koon was flying.
Yeah, Plo Koon was flying.
Oh no, I'm sorry, not wrong guy. Mundi.
Yeah, Coyote Mundi.
And then there was the Twi'lek.
Ayla Secura.
Yes, both of them brief moments. Wait a minute, what's up? And then down they went.
Flat Ab Secura.
But
she's the only Jedi that wears hip huggers.
That's okay with that.
I'm all good with that. But let's see.
We're diminished.
Well, I gotta say, look how easily, let's see, Ethkoth, Stacey Tin, and Kit Fisto were just taken out. They went out like bitches.
When they were top line, masters.
Yeah. They were like, at least one of them sat on the council, and it was like, really? You guys went out, you didn't get a swing in, you just started screaming. But then again, that just shows how powerful the Emperor was at that moment. He was, I think, at his peak power at that one moment.
Probably.
By the time Luke rolls around, I don't think he has the same power he thought he did.
Unlimited power.
Yes.
You mean Jar Jar was at his peak power right there?
Yeah, I was just watching was it yesterday night? The fan theories about Star Wars, whether that Rey's a Kenobi. The Jar Jar one makes so much blasted sense that he really is a drunken master Sith.
That we, as of now,
we know.
Aftermath. Nope, he wasn't. And he just clowned. So that theory can be just set aside.
Maybe he's doing what the Mule did in the Foundation series. And he's pretending to be a clown to make people sad with his evil mind-bending music powers.
I think the Music Meister?
I think people are looking for more than is actually there.
You're going to have to handle the chat because my internet, I'm just eating too much bandwidth right now, so I have to shut down my browser.
No, I've got Firefly here who's making comments here, which I'll have to get into for Alistair.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah, he's talking about the Secret World Legends. So we can get into that.
As I careen my head to my right monitor where I'm playing the Secret World Legends.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
He's upset with the devs.
Oh, I'm not pleased with them right now either. There's some issues that I've run into, but what was he upset with?
Overview. He provided an overview on the weapon mechanics, and he's like, "No, damn it, 40 mic does not work like that."
No, but then again, neither does a tangled iPod charging cable in the shape of a human cause you to cast lightning powers. But we're not going to complain about that, are we?
But we can kind of get into that in more detail.
I suppose I should open up the chat then so we can see this.
Oh, I can bring it over. We got Nothing for the next Star Wars anthology film, though. There's still just a writer's been hired. That's pretty much it. They were going to have Josh Trank do it or direct it, and then they got rid of him because Fantastic Four did so bad.
Did they change the sidebar for Twitch again?
It doesn't look any different for me.
It's now nothing but icons for me.
No, I don't see any icons. Maybe it's a setting on your end?
I did end up going to the wrong thing. Apparently there's actually a Twitch channel called Geek EZ.
Now, I have heard Twitch is one of these sites that, like, rolls out updates in, like, batches. Like, some people get it first before other people.
Yeah, they do. I like that the channel, the stream title is still assuming direct control.
Yeah, it hasn't changed in a while.
And well, I am now looking at the chat, so if Firefly wishes to continue his ranting.
Yes, by all means, Firefly. Rant about the Secret World, and then we'll bundle it all together. We're also just kind of killing time because Adam's got to step away for a moment. We do have some Star Trek news. Quite a bit of it, actually.
Oh, goody.
Martok lives.
Martok lives. He returns. They're going to bring in the actor who played Martok for Star Trek Online. In the next episode, which rolls out what? Did they say when?
I think in a couple weeks. I don't think they gave a definitive date, but usually they announce it a couple weeks in advance. If it's a mid-season launch, anyway.
It'll be in 13.5 would make sense. We also have returning this weekend the Kobayashi Maru. There's going to be so much pain. I know Jem doesn't play, but
No, I just sit in my chair and eat an apple while I win.
yeah, it would be kind of funny if they actually give you some means to modify the scenario. Because apparently, in some instances, they give a Kobayashi Maru to the engineering track guys to see how they can cheat it, how they can make it work better for them.
Oh, nice.
Whereas tactical track guys have to figure out how, what do they do to see how they command things, or the command track, I should say. What answer do they come up with? Sulu's answer was he didn't go in.
Yeah, Sulu's answer was not to do it.
We know Kirk's. Spock never did it. And I think Scotty, his plan was basically he basically not modified it. He worked it so that they would get him moved into the engineering track, which is where he wanted to be in the first place.
Yeah, wasn't there a novel where they all went over there?
Actually, called through, yeah.
Which is kind of a fun way to look at it.
In unofficial Star Trek news, certain people pissed off Terry McIntosh, and we now have a script copy that was never supposed to see the light of day.
Oh, yeah. I saw that today.
Script copy of what?
Axonar.
The supposedly locked script that was handed over during the trial that they then tried to claim wasn't locked and everything else.
Yeah, but we don't want to talk about those guys anyway.
Well, just saying.
No, but it is funny.
Well, now we may get a chance to do a forensic analysis of donations here soon. Because supposedly there's rumors that the donor files are coming. That was the next thing Terry said he was going to drop.
The drama for that just keeps on going.
Well, I'd like to know what all the donors think of having their money pissed away. That's what I'd like to.
The scary thing about that is the aspect of, I realize that he swears up and down there'll be no personal information displayed. It's still, skirting a legal line that I would be like, I don't know.
Well, I saw an example of what he's doing. He's redacting emails and all that. It's basically just star at symbol star payment method and how much or whatever. But we'll see.
Stream keeps buffering for me, by the way.
It's my end. It really is. I'm telling you, they're doing something with my internet and it's bad.
It'd be just so annoying. Well, anyway, Adam, just to kind of quick recap for you. We mentioned about that we had quite a bit of Star Trek news, so that's how we got into that topic. That we got, Martok's coming back into Star Trek Online.
Will he be playing Martok as Mark Twain?
No, he's Martok.
Okay.
No, he's going to be playing Mark Twain as Martok.
The only reason why, and I was so tempted to, but the only reason why I never picked up and started playing the game was I knew that it would sue me like Worlds of Warcraft did. And I just didn't want to go back that road.
Actually,
no, it's pretty easy to pick up and put down.
Yeah, it's really not like World of Warcraft. The grind in some places is really, really goddamn annoying, but
it's not as bad as it used to be. Remember when Delta Rising first came out?
Oh, that was so rough.
The late game content really only comes in dribs and drabs, unlike WoW, where there's like a poop ton of late game content.
And then there's also the fact that you got other things you can focus on. You got, you can build up your reputation. You can work on your crafting, and those can be literally things that's all you focus on. If you so.
And they also do these events like we're getting this weekend.
Yep, the Kobayashi Maru. And that happened before. They had that before, didn't they?
It was called No Win Scenario, and it didn't actually have a Kobayashi Maru.
Plus, you can fish in WoW, and you can't in STO.
They don't want to.
It would lead me to believe that they're getting a little more license, or their license has been expanded slightly with the addition of the Kobayashi Maru and some of this stuff.
Well, I think they probably have had access to it. It's just they never got around to doing it, and so now they got more leeway to do it, and that's why the cast, they're able to bring in more of the original cast.
I'm not a big fan of the design of the Kobayashi.
You're not?
I always thought it was a freighter.
Well,
it is a freighter.
It is a freighter.
It sure looks an awful lot like a Soyuz to me.
Well, it looks an awful lot like a Miranda type, but if you look at the two nacelles underneath, those are actually not nacelles. Those look like cargo pod deals.
Yeah, they're loaded with cargo containers.
Oh, okay.
It's a unique freighter, which is kind of neat. The classic freighter they've had for since rollout. It's pretty long in the tooth at this point.
And really, really good at the turn radius.
Depending on who's piloting it, yeah.
Well, I don't want to rehash what you guys have already talked about.
We haven't gotten too deep into it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that we're going to be trying that this weekend, and it's probably going to be like a repeat of the Sompek event. We're going to die a lot.
Yes. It's a no-win scenario.
Well, it's basically made the same way as the Sompek deal. Until everybody on your team is dead, it keeps going, and the enemies get more difficult.
Do you have the ability to...
I thought the Kobayashi Maru was a civilian freighter.
The original one was, yes.
Because this picture I'm looking at has the Starfleet symbol on it.
Keep in mind, there is a standing history of old Starfleet vessels being used by civilians.
Being sold off, actually, and having their offensive capabilities removed, and even warp drives removed.
Yeah, but usually that would mean that these Starfleet symbols would be painted over as well.
I've seen certain things where they don't specify on that, and others they say, oh, it's still there. I don't think they mind too much in that instance, because it's paint in space.
Well, what is it? In, what was that ship that Idris Elba's character had in Beyond?
Franklin?
Yeah, wasn't that
Sorry,
just...
the Franklin?
Wasn't that just a reskinned NX?
No, it was actually quite different from the NX.
It was smaller.
More like along the lines of a Valiant, but still a different class.
I don't know. Is it gonna? Was it a gravitic mine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Still have that.
This is the Kobayashi Maru.
19 periods out of Altair 6. We have struck a gravitic mine and have lost all power. Our hull is penetrated and we have sustained many casualties.
Interestingly enough, apparently that was the Kobayashi Maru was episode 4, and that it was Archer who was the first one to do the Kobayashi Maru. The literal one, though. Unfortunately, that never got developed, which I think would have been a pretty fun episode. And I guess they phased it out or changed it for by the time of the Next Generation / Voyager.
Probably been done so many times that people had means of, thinking ways around it.
Yeah, in the case of Voyager, they actually had a different scenario, and they said there actually is a correct response for it: retreat.
And leave them?
Yeah, it's supposed to involve like Romulan warbirds and a Ferengi freighter, and that the correct response to that is to retreat. And the question is, do the cadets figure it out?
Yeah, but you're not supposed to leave a ship in distress. But again, not knowing my naval regulations, you can't put your own ship in danger. If the conditions warrant where your own crew is in danger, you're not supposed to do anything. But I think could be wrong. I'm not a squid.
It varies. I mean, and that was the whole point of the Kobayashi Maru, was to see what your command track cadet does. What's their answer for it. You're not supposed to win. And Kirk, he got that commendation because he doesn't believe in such things, that there should always be some way to come out ahead. Regardless if you die or if somebody else dies, but you still come out ahead.
I changed the conditions of the test.
Which in his case, he made it so that there was still a chance of failure, at least originally. The new version, I think he was a bit more blatant about his cheating.
Back to Stowe. You know what I am? This is tying into stuff that I have recently experienced a lot more of. Stowe doesn't have too many people hacking and cheating. There's no real way to. I mean, you just got to grind to get what you got to get. There's other ways to do it, but grinding is the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
More or less, yeah.
More or less, yeah.
It's like I've been playing Battlefront an awful lot. Me and my son have been playing it like crazy. And there is a monstrous amount of hacking going on, to the point where it's not even fun to play online anymore. And I guess EA is being inundated with people complaining about, I guess, and it's 4 or 5 guys, because I've done some research to see, because I've played against at least 3 of these guys. And I mean, when you could take somebody out from clear across the battlefield with one single shot to the head from a rifle that's not supposed to have that kind of range, that finds its mark, headshot every single time, that's an obvious hack. And 2 or 3 of these guys are open about it. They say it right there in the open chat. Oh yeah, I'm hacking. What are you going to do about it? Not play with you. That's the problem. It's like, are you that bad at a game that you need to hack every game you play? That's not cool. And I'm really glad that, like, I've played Star Trek, and I haven't played in a while, but it doesn't have that kind of stuff. It's like, you just got to go do it, and if you're bad, you're bad, and if you're good, you're good. And
might be because it's a little harder for them to hack MMOs. I've not really heard any of the major MMOs having this problem. I mean, there are people who've tried hacking World of Warcraft, and Blizzard is on them, like Sting.
In a heartbeat, yeah. And EA used to be. EA, when the game first came out, they were on these people left and right. And it's just like, it doesn't make the game fun. If I go in there and there's literally no way to win because there's one guy who hides up on top of something and just takes you out constantly, it's no fun.
Of course, we don't know what the stove version on the consoles is like, so.
True. It's kind of fun that way. But I'm calling you guys out. It sucks. I mean, seriously, cheating in a game like that, it's like the game is supposed to be fun, and you're not making it fun for anybody. And you can't shoot Ewoks. That's another one of my big Bs. You can shoot at them, and they just run away and go back in their houses. The originals were cool, where you could snipe an Ewok from across the field, and the Ewok would drop.
Jawa, an Ewok.
Yeah, Ewok, Jawa, Sand People. It's just like, yeah. If you were a sniper, you had and it was really difficult to find snipers in the other two games, Battlefronts 1 and 2. It's if you were dug in real good, you could take out an entire squadron and they would never get a shot off at you.
No one cares about the Sand People.
Oh, dude, that was like if I had a bad day at work, I would just pop Battlefront 2 in, or Battlefront 2, and I would just snipe Ewoks for the rest of the evening.
You monster.
Oh, it was like it was the best way to. Because you know what? Screw the stormtroopers. I'm just take these Ewoks out.
There's no end to them anyway, unlike the stormtroopers.
I do got to say though, you guys don't play the game. I mean, I play the game. I have all the heroes now because they had the sale where it was like you can $9 to upgrade to the ultimate package, and I was like, all right, $9, sure. So I upgraded to it. I got all the heroes unlocked and stuff. And I've been playing Bosk as one of the heroes for the Imperials. He has some of the coolest weapons, and he's got this cool feature that the more people you kill, you can regenerate your life because he gets off on it, I guess. But he has a dioxide grenade, which is like the coolest weapon in the world. You could walk into a crowd of guys and just drop this thing, and you jump out as you drop it, and they all just drop dead. As long as they don't get too many shots in on you. It's hilarious. It's like I took out, 20 guys in one room because they kept walking through my grenade gas. I was like, come on guys, I'm right here, come get me. And they just walk right into it. I was like, this is the greatest thing in the world. Like, I'm standing right here, come get me. A couple of shots so they know where I am, and they walk right into it. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's just little things that make fun.
It's little things.
It's one thing if you want to mod a game to be something else, like what Wolfie apparently just posted. Modder turns Counter-Strike into chicken-based Tekken parody. But
it's called Chicken, I believe, or Chicken.
Oh, dear Lord.
Which is entertaining. It's
not
that
kind of stuff's fun.
You're modding to hack it.
Yeah, when you're hacking
so
the
you're
game,
the best of them all. You can't kill me.
Exactly. I mean, and I actually went and I was doing research. I would not do it. I don't want to get banned from playing the game, which these people, there have been people banned from the game. But there's one guy who's touting his thing that is completely untraceable, which I'm like, bullcrap. There's no way they're not going to know it's like headshot kill every time, auto aiming. So no matter what you do, no matter where you are, as long as you shoot in the general direction of somebody, you're going to hit them. And I was like, what's the fun in that? Unlimited firepower, your gun never overheats, you have unlimited grenades, unlimited that. It's like, where's the fun in that? The whole idea is to outsmart the guys, just to get behind their lines, which I found is a cool way to do it. You find out where they spawn and try to get in that area, and you just take them out when they spawn. But
now, when I played single player on some games like Doom and whatnot, turning on the God mode, oh sure, I have no problem doing that because it just makes, for me, it's just like if I can just waste everything in front, it's just a good stress reliever, and that's all I did.
Yes.
But for a multiplayer, no, I wouldn't do that.
Now wait a minute, Adam. You just admitted that you're a spawn camper.
No, I have done it once, and I made the mistake of doing it by myself. I watched somebody do it on YouTube. I was like, hey, there's 3 guys, and they hid in 3 corners of the room, and whenever somebody spawned in, they would just take them out. They got beaten. I mean, they got taken out themselves. But I tried doing it once, and 15 or 16 guys spawned into the room at the same time, and I'm like, this one guy there. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'm dead.
I've spawned camp before. But
yeah,
that's when you throw a thermal imploder.
Yep,
yeah,
that's
you don't
it.
live
thermal
long.
imploder, boom, gone.
I mean, I spawned camp back in Quake. I mean, but then again, there were so many players running around that it was a legit tactic to just park at a spawn point briefly because you were going to die regardless. So yeah, why not?
Oh, honestly, my personal favorite was, if we're talking about spawn camping, is the old Halo 2 multiplayer maps. What was it? It was the one that was in the cavern. You know which one I'm talking about, Alistair?
Wasn't that random? Didn't Halo have a random spawn thing where you didn't spawn the same place?
No, there were
but
usually predetermined spawn locations.
But it was still within the same general area, more or less. But there was... My personal favorite was, and I can't remember the name of the map, but it was in a cavern.
Was it the Halo 2 one that was in the cavern?
Yeah, it was Halo 2 in the cavern, where you could take one of the Banshees and just fly up into the rafters with a sniper rifle and just pick people off.
Yep, I did that. I also counted that because there's a Wraith on that map, and if you get really good, you can arc the Wraith artillery up into the upper areas.
No, but we got off on tangents.
Yeah, but kind of backing up to the Star Trek thing. So yeah, this weekend should be interesting. I don't know if we'll stream it. It's the same thing like Sumpec.
Definitely stream it.
Well, this weekend I've got other plans. So
I think we lasted about over an hour and a half before we finally croaked in Sumpec at our best. I mean, Roland and Alistair would know best. In Sumpec, we lasted hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
I think our highest
Hold
that
on,
we got
I can actually look it up.
was like 120 some odd rounds.
No, that wasn't us. We got pretty high though. Give me a minute, I'll tell you.
Well, there's
how long we got.
There was the team that
how
did
long we
400 rounds, which I still don't know how they would have done that. That would have been no, I couldn't do that. But the Kobayashi
400?
Similar to that. Yeah, we don't know how they did it, but they min-maxed to the extreme, which is their stick anyway. So,
Arena of Sompek attempt to Thunderstruck was 1 hour and 49 minutes long.
If we manage to get along in Kobayashi Maru, I'll be impressed because our ground builds were pretty decent, but our ship builds are significantly varied.
And then there's Tade.
And then there's Tade.
You know what? Well, keeping on the Star Trek thing, but it just flashed through my head with other video podcasts out there on YouTube using crowdfunding to crowdfund trips and stuff that they would then live stream and things like that. We need to, if we're going to crowdfund anything, we need to crowdfund a trip to Ticonderoga.
Now you're talking.
What's in Ticonderoga?
The Star Trek set tour that James Cawley put up.
It's amazing.
It from the photos that Doug Drexler was just there over the weekend, and Thomas Barone was there.
Oh yeah,
the guys from Trek Yards were there. Everybody was there, and it was just like Tom. He got to play. He was all decked out in his uniform, and he's playing Stowe in this captain's chair on the main viewer.
Well, hell, just sitting on the bridge and watching an old episode of TOS, is trippy.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I would just want to go. So, it would
Say when?
Definitely want to go.
Say when?
Which, it's cash, man. Moolah.
Yeah, I know. No, I know.
I mean, a trip to, it's not like Ticonderoga is not a big city. It's not,
No.
It's, I mean, you can't even fly into Ticonderoga.
I have issues saving money to take a trip to the city that's 40 miles north of me, let alone a long trip.
It's like, yeah, I'd love to go to Vegas this year too, but that's not going to happen.
The funny thing is, when you said Ticonderoga, I wasn't even thinking the city. I went straight to the fort.
Oh, well, the fort's real close from what I gather.
Yeah, it's just a few miles away.
Well, sure. I mean, if that managed to happen, I'd totally do that. And then you guys wouldn't see me. It's like, where'd he go?
Actually,
we live stream if we get permission to live stream it, that'd be awesome. But I don't know if he can with his license the way he has it.
Actually, portions of Katoomba were filmed at the fort.
That's pretty cool. I'm just with his license, I don't know because I know he has licensing including television rights on what can be shot there and what can't be. So we'd have to clear it with them and stuff. But it would be very cool.
So Going back to Tate, since he's not here, I'm going to brag about him a little bit.
Go ahead.
So Tate has created a monster in Star Trek Online. He's got a Romulan. I think it's Romulan.
I think it's just Romulan, yeah.
Yeah.
On the Vengeance.
He's flying a Vengeance. And I'm pretty good at space PvP. Usually I can get to a point where I out-healing the person's DPS and they're out-healing mine, so it becomes a standoff.
That happened with you and Mike.
Yeah. And in Tate's case, I would decloak and explode. And decloak and explode. And decloak and explode.
It was a rather amusing spectacle to watch.
So I was like, you know what, Tate, since you're such a big tough guy, why don't you take on 5 of us? And he took on 5 of us.
The funny thing is before we did it, it was like, okay, let's get everybody in here. Let's get you. Come on, Roland, you want to join? No, I want to live.
Yeah, basically, my response was, hell no, I want to live. Because I've seen it in action.
How does he know where you're gonna decloak?
He doesn't.
That's the thing.
It's just the instant that he decloaks, die. I hit you because I now see you.
Now wait, he's flying a what?
The Vengeance from Star Trek In the Darkness.
You know, the one that not Khan was piloting.
I've seen his ship game.
Yeah, well, it was 5v1, first to 15 kills. We got 6, he got 15.
Now, the funny thing is that we had Captain Arthur Owens joined us for this, and he's been out of the game for a while, so okay, fair enough. He blew up a few times, got it. But you had Roland and Alistair, both of them flying like Defiant class ships, and he's just wasting them. Guess who didn't die the entire time?
You.
It was me.
What were you flying?
I was flying Home 1 on my Odyssey.
He was basically flying your ship.
Yeah, I know what he's. I know the ship.
Yeah, he's met Home 1.
Yeah,
I've been on Home 1.
I know. I was just explaining it to Jim.
Now the funny thing is, it makes it even funnier is that he's the whole time Tate's going like, "Why aren't you dying? You should be dying now." It's this really annoying me. I don't understand. What is it that you're doing? And the whole time he's just sitting there saying, "It's like, I don't know." It's like, stop doing what you're doing. I don't want to do that. I want to live.
I don't know what I'm doing.
He hunted me once. And I got him to admit that one, a few days later. I was like, you were hunting me. Don't lie and say you weren't. Yeah, I was. And the only reason why I survived is because I got stuck in a broken up station. And it broke his lock.
Evasive maneuvers in the other direction.
But he's like, Tank is very tanky. If he was to truly hunt me again, he would still probably destroy me.
You go right ahead.
Yeah, if he was to actually, if we try to go 1-on-1 again, he'd probably win. Just because he puts out more damage than I can counter. I can negate some of what he can do, some of his, knocking his, nope, you can't do that anymore. But it doesn't last long.
Well, Vengeance has some serious firepower.
And apparently he hasn't finished figuring out his full build.
I was gonna say, what's he got? He's got it, have it pretty built up.
Oh yeah, he's got. I think he's very heavy on plasma weapons. It's kind of his thing.
No,
not plasma on this one.
No, he's running all phasers on that.
Really? Well then, we could shift gears since Alistair walked away, and he can jump back into the conversation because I know he wanted to talk about this kind of stuff too.
Well,
and
we still have one other bit of Star Trek news too.
Oh, what's that?
Jonathan Frakes is going to be directing at least one episode of Discovery.
He also directed Orville. An episode.
Yes. We know people who work on Orville. Well, one person.
Yep.
Congratulations, Gabe.
Yeah, way to go, Gabe.
Yeah, it's just the fact that they're actually getting somebody from the, previous generations to direct, and you can't ask for a better one.
Oh, Frakes is awesome.
Does he still smoke? Just curious.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody ever mentioned that.
I wonder if he does the Riker stance where he puts his leg up on something and leans in.
Yes, he does. He actually sits that way too.
Not only that, but the way he sits in a chair,
yes,
just kills me.
He did when I met him at the convention in Orlando, and that's how I met him because I went out back and I was with another guy who had a table, another artist who had a table, and I didn't even have a table. I was sitting with another artist who asked me to come in and do some sculptures of some of her pieces while people were coming over and looking at her stuff, and so yeah, I was like, sure, if it gets me into the convention for free. And then I got to meet Leonard Nimoy that day and all that kind of stuff. But I went out back, and this is when I smoked cigarettes, and I went out and I had a cigarette, and we heard from behind us, hey, who's going to bum me a smoke? And turn around, it was Jonathan Frakes. And I was like, didn't even realize you smoked.
I'd throw my whole pack at him. Are you
so a guy did. He goes right here. I mean, and he just hung out with us, and
He's also ridiculously tall, right?
Yeah, he's ridiculously tall, but then watching him sit down in a chair, I was like, oh my God, he does the Riker maneuver. And he walks, that's how he is. And I was like, oh my God, that's just him. But
I did not go looking for the link, by the way.
I was curious.
No, it just appeared in my Facebook feed.
Uh-huh.
That's funny.
It was shared to the Star Trek group on Facebook 2 minutes ago.
Well, I'm having a cigarette in honor of Jonathan Frakes.
Assuming he smokes, still. If you zoom in and if you scroll in and out, the phrase changes every time.
I know, that's why I'm laughing.
You're a big hit in London.
Oh, this is the one I have.
No, the name of my ship is the Lollipop.
The one that I have is, by the way, I'm looking forward to meeting your parents.
That one comes up a lot.
Oh, anyway.
He just told me I'm the most beautiful woman in the galaxy.
Well, too bad we didn't know about this earlier when we were talking about J.G. Hertzler. Even Klingons need love now and then.
He apparently finds me very attractive.
We should probably drop that link for others in the chat.
What link is it? Oh, I haven't clicked on it. I'm afraid to. There's a reason it says click link with caution in the end credits.
Click it.
Oh, you got to drop that link. You really.
I did. I dropped it in there for Firefly to check out.
They're gonna really enjoy this. This is great.
You're missing out, Adam. Click the link.
He can click it afterwards. I mean, he's got his internet issues, so. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up about the Star Trek news we got. Unless you guys know anything more.
Why does it do this?
Apparently, Discovery is going to be breaking one of Roddenberry's golden rules.
Yes, there will be tension between the crew.
Which in itself is not a bad thing, and they've had that stuff before.
Yeah, they've had tension before, yeah.
Not as bad as this, apparently.
Well, I'm sorry. As a writer, I can tell you in tension lies drama, okay?
It's not good storytelling if everybody gets along perfectly.
No, it's boring.
Very much so. You got to have some kind of conflict. Well, they had some of that in Deep Space Nine, and it got more noticeable as the episode or as the seasons went on.
Well, they had to have reason for Cisco to holler and yell. So.
Well, not just that. You had even O'Brien and Worf go at it.
Yeah, to say, too bad only one of the reasons that Cisco was mad and yelling was because of Q, who we only saw once. I'm still mad about that.
The only guy to deck Q. I love it.
But you don't know. You know the reason why they didn't bring Q back. The reason why they said is because they didn't want to overuse him, because he's definitely a next generation character, and they wanted, that was early on for the spin-offs. They didn't want Deep Space Nine to basically have to live off the laurels, and they didn't want that to be supported purely by next generation. And by the time Voyager came around, they were much more confident that it was okay to use Q more often.
And Worf on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, but it took a while before they brought Worf in.
The fact that he kept calling her Kathy. I love that.
So, speaking of sci-fi storytelling, any news you want to give us about, Jim?
Oh, well, the Outer Rim is having a big gathering this weekend. We're going to be doing a big ADR session.
Explain to people who don't know what ADR is.
ADR stands for Attic Dialogue Replacement, and that's where the mic didn't pick up someone properly, and so their line has to be re-recorded.
I have returned.
So we've got some dialogue that's a little sketchy, and so we're pulling the cast back together, and we're going to have a big recording session at West Street Digital in St. Albans, Vermont. Great bunch of folks over there, Andre and Wendy McCara. Wendy McCara's voice is in the episode, actually. She plays our guest alien, or she plays the voice of our guest alien. And she's got that silky Kathleen Turner kind of thing going on, so it's pretty cool. So we're going to be spending a whole day over at the studio getting that stuff recorded, and then we're going to have some meetings about what's coming up next. We got some summertime shooting to do. I was actually out today doing some outdoor location scouting for a couple of particular scenes that we have in the next show, Challenger. So I was just checking out some paths where our Commander Cage needs to be doing some running, out blowing off steam, and she's having a good run. And I was looking for some good woodland paths that would be nice to shoot on, and so I was doing that today. But yeah, a lot of ADR work, and then everyone's going to hang out here at my place, and then we're going to celebrate the 4th of July in style. So
drink beer and fall down.
Drink homemade mead, actually, and fall down and blow
Don't
stuff
get
up.
explosions.
Oh, we got fireworks, baby.
Ba-boom.
And I'm going to be cooking my my barbecue ribs that everyone demands I make. So a good time will be had by all. So
cool.
Exciting stuff coming up. But yeah, we're gearing up for some summertime shooting.
They're going to do some looping and then get loopy.
There you go.
They're going to drink beer and belch like real men.
It's the looping it's the looping loopy party. Looping.
But yeah, should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun. Get the band back together, and have some fun.
Are you on a mission from God?
Kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
And the theater where we shot Sweepers this summer, they're doing The King and I at the Enosburg Opera House, and I'm helping with sets. So I'm dragging in the slave labor. I'm bringing the whole crew with me over to the theater to help, pull stuff out of storage and get ready to put sets together.
King and I, huh?
Yeah, good show. Really good show.
It is.
Yeah.
See, I was trying to find some kind of pun to throw in there, but Siam doesn't work too well with a pun.
Yes, I am.
Oh, dear Lord. Don't make me hog tie you.
Ask my kids. I'm a bad dad with the jokes, man.
Yeah, I was trying to think Siam, yeah. Oh, well. But speaking of sci-fi, this is something that Jim had brought up with me today, actually.
Yes.
Earlier today. Just delve into the world of sci-fi that has been underrated, overlooked, or in other words, or not in other ways, that has just been either panned, canned, but it's actually good sci-fi.
Poorly promoted. And
Jim brought one up we're right on the same track with this one. John Carter was a film that should have had multiple sequels. It was set up that way, but fell apart at the box office, so nothing happened.
Because they did a terrible job marketing it.
Well, that and what was it up against?
At the time?
What was it up against? I forget.
I don't know. But the marketing on that was horrible. They had no idea who they were marketing that film to. They had stuff on Disney Channel, on the Disney Channel during little kids shows. They had stuff. I mean, it was like, who are you marketing this movie to?
Well, what kills me, and the word came out, way after the fact, but the director apparently had said the reason he didn't title it John Carter of Mars was because he didn't want people to think it was a science fiction film.
Except
it is.
What?
Giant. Oh.
What?
It's supposed to be the Princess of Mars, isn't it?
Well, it was entitled John Carter, and then at the very end of the film, when we know that he's going back to Mars, the title of the film comes up, John Carter, and then slowly dissolving at the bottom, it says of Mars.
Yes.
At the end of the film.
But wasn't the book that was adapted The Princess of Mars?
Oh.
There was a bunch of John Carter books.
Yeah, there were, but the point is, he didn't want to promote it he didn't want to promote his sci-fi film as a sci-fi film.
Oh my
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at what came out around that same time as John Carter.
Yeah.
The story collection is John Carter of Mars.
Yes.
Episode 1 3D had come out in February. And
that was not competition for John Carter, not really.
No, not really, no.
Let's see, Act of Valor, no. From that opening weekend, it was 1,000 Words, John Carter, Silent House.
But it wasn't. It was word of mouth got out because of the way the critics were destroying this movie. There was a lot of critical. I mean, it was like I saw the film. I mean, I wanted to see it in theaters. I never got to. I actually rented it like the day it came out, and it blew me away. I was like, this was a really good sci-fi film.
It was awesome. It was terrific. Everyone in it was really good. Visually, it was stunning.
Yes.
The performances were solid. The effects were incredible.
And it just worked so well.
The writing was terrific. They really did a beautiful adaptation.
Production design was out of this world. No pun intended.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Everything about it was great, and I couldn't understand why it was doing a faceplant, and it all came down to promotion. It was so poorly promoted.
Yes,
just, they would not get behind it.
Because we need to go back to Barsoom.
I think honestly, what the week before there was the Lorax and Project X. Had premiered the week before. And then the week after, it was the 21 Jump Street that you refused to watch.
Yeah, but you're talking completely, radically different kinds of films.
Yeah.
And it should have done better. It really did. And another underappreciated film that comes to mind is The Last Starfighter.
Oh, I was going to bring that one up too. Love that movie.
I love
Death
that
Lotus.
Movie. Now I'll tell you what. If they decided to do the Death Blossom. Now if they decided to do a remake of that, I could get behind that.
There were talks that they were good. I remember hearing rumblings. It was, I mean, a few of the entertainment sites said that it was being shopped around, and that there were rumblings.
Yeah, you get John Lithgow to play Centauri. I
could see that.
You could get the kid that's playing Spider-Man right now to play the kid.
There you go.
And Idris Elba to play Grieg.
Oh, dude! You just well, you know what? I would toss it up.
It would be amazing. It would be amazingly good.
If you were going to do it, because the way that it was Robert Preston that played Centauri the first time, right?
Oh, he was terrific. Yeah.
If you're going to do it that way, then you got to put William Shatner in that role.
That's actually a real.
It would be William Shatner in the role of Centauri. I love the idea of Idris Elba as Greg. And Tom Hiddleston as Zur.
Oh.
Or was it? Yeah. Is it Zur?
Yes.
X-U-R?
Yeah,
Zur.
Yeah.
Tom Hiddleston as Zur. And yeah, you got yourself a movie. Because, I mean, it was groundbreaking at the time. It was the first mainstream film that used CGI in its special effects. There were no models built for that film whatsoever. It was all done in the computer. I mean, it's dated now. When you watch it, the CG is really bad.
It's terrible, but it's still it holds up as a story though.
Yes,
and it's got a lot of heart. It's really got a lot of heart.
It was original for the time.
Oh yeah.
which I remember. I think I saw that in the theaters. We were on a family vacation in Cape Cod, and we saw it on Cape Cod. And I remember walking out of the theater. I mean, I gotta remember, this is still Star Wars boy at this point.
Yeah.
And it was just like, that was really, really cool.
That was fun.
And it was fun, and it was just like, it had new spaceships, and it was like, yeah. So, but again, I mean, it has gained a cult following. I think John Carter has as well. Not the same way, like say Rocky Horror Picture Show or anything, but The Last Starfighter while it's underrated to a point, it does have a cult following. You know, I own it on Blu-ray, so it's a good film.
It's an excellent film.
I'm really trying to think of sci-fi films that I've watched that were underrated and yet were really good. And honestly, I can't think of anything.
Judge Dredd.
Well, okay, granted, give you that one. The new Judge Dredd film was fantastic.
Still haven't seen it.
Totally underrated.
I still haven't seen it.
You need to, sir.
You need to see it. It is, I mean, Carl Urban's Dredd is sublime, dude.
It was a perfect adaptation.
Yes. And it was such a good film, and yet it went nowhere. I was like, what the heck? And then there were movies that made buku bucks on its opening that were horrible in the same realm, whereas Dredd didn't. I mean, I don't even know if it made it budget back. But then there was like RoboCop.
It came a little short, and actually it came out the same year as John Carter, so apparently that year was just rough on films.
Yeah, it's like RoboCop, the newer one. It was like, and I would love to say that it's an underrated sci-fi film, the new one, but it's not. It's a half-assed reboot that took all that made the original RoboCop great, which was the tongue-in-cheek satire, and got rid of it. And yet people were like, "Oh, this RoboCop." I mean, it made more of a stink than say Dredd did. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to delve into obscurity here, but there's a film that's a guilty pleasure.
Go ahead.
It's called The Monster Squad.
Is that the one from the 80s?
Yeah, a bunch of ragtag kids with a treehouse.
Yeah.
Wolfman's got nards.
Wolfman's got nards.
I remember when that commercial had to get pulled off the air. That's how old I am. But when that movie came out, that was one of the big. It was like, kick him in the nards. They had to pull that because I don't think people realized that that was a word you can't say on TV.
Imagine that.
The two movies that always occur to me, and the first one's probably better than the second one, but Robot Jocks and Robot Wars.
I've seen Robot Jocks, and I'll have to fight you on that one because
and then
kind of an iffy
Screamers
film.
is awesome.
Is that the one with Peter Weller? No, that was
Yes.
Scanners. Was it? No, Screamers was his.
Yeah.
No, Gary Graham was in Robot Jocks.
Yeah, but Screamers is Peter Weller. That's what we're
Yes.
talking about now.
Let's see, what were the other ones? I had a bunch of them where I was like, you know what? Lauded as great things, and they're not. I mean, I could almost say that Fifth Element is an underrated sci-fi film. A lot of people say, "Oh, it's too tongue-in-cheek. It's cheesy. But it's a fun sci-fi film."
Man, the 80s and 90s were just rife with crazy sci-fi and horror films, and loved them all. I just gobbled it up, man.
Oh, Jeffrey Combs is in Robot Jocks also.
Jeffrey Combs is currently standing about 3 feet behind my character. He does a voice acting in Secret World.
Love Jeffrey Combs.
Now, are we allowed to bring like animated films into this?
Sure, why not?
Like After Earth? Not After
Robot.
Earth, not
You know,
After
I've
Earth.
never seen Robot Jocks. I was just looking. I was like, that seems familiar, and it's basically kind of like MechWarrior, isn't it?
Yeah, not After
Sorta.
Earth. My bad. It
Yeah.
was Titan AE.
Yeah, Titan AE. Yeah.
Titan AE, which was Titan After Earth, was a well-written animated sci-fi that no one
But again, it was
okay.
It was underrated because it was what I had suggested was good films that are underrated.
Which I actually enjoyed Titan AE.
I liked it. In fact, I
think
caught it
Treasure
again
Planet
recently.
is better.
Yes.
Yeah, I got to agree there. Treasure Planet was a lot.
Yeah, and again, it was Disney had no idea what they were doing with it. That time frame in the Disney Animation Studios, I mean, Lilo and Stitch was a stretch for them, and then it just went off the deep end with like there was like Home on the Range and Treasure Planet was like really Treasure Planet is visually gorgeous.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And it was just like, and I really enjoyed the film, but I mean, it made no money for Disney, and no one went and saw it.
Which is a shame because it really was a fun film.
Same with Atlantis.
Oh, Atlantis was a fun film too. I mean, people take some of this stuff too seriously. You know, you want to go into the theater and escape for a couple hours.
Yes,
and it's films like that do that for you. I
See,
mean,
when
I go to see that kind of a film, that's what I want to do is just escape the world for a couple hours and go somewhere else.
This is what kind of scares me about Discovery, and it scared me. It's what kind of turned me off of the new Battlestar Galactica. There was no escape.
No.
When you are dragged through the mire constantly, and there's no escape from it, that kind of and a lot of people, oh, it's gonna be dark, it's gonna be edgy, and it's like, where's the escapism? That's what sci-fi has always been about. It's been an escapism. That's why dystopian films I don't fly with. It's
also the sci-fi has always been a vehicle for allegory as well. But but you want to see Brave New Worlds. You want to see something that you've never seen before. You want to go places and people that you couldn't possibly imagine.
Now I have to ask you guys, because it's been everybody's touting it as like one of the greater films from that year, the Mad Max film that came out, the new one.
It was good. It's not one that
I thought it should have won Best Picture.
Really? Now I have to ask you because I got bored.
If for nothing else, cinematography, because God, it's like they duct taped the camera to a whirling dervish. It was incredible.
I mean, yeah. Overall, I would say it was a good film. It's not one that I would own. I don't feel it has any replay value for me personally.
Apparently, it's supposedly almost like watching a completely different, equally awesome film if you watch the black and chrome edition.
Really? I'm gonna have to see it that way.
The biggest thing to remember going into that movie is Mad Max is not the main character.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. No, he's not. It's a real twist.
Yeah, but the whole aspect of it now, the Road Warrior films, the Mad Max films, all have a common theme. It is a bunch of cars in the desert driving around, shooting at them, and people shooting at each other. That's the common theme. Yep. There was nothing new brought to the world of Mad Max with this movie.
Other than that, it's even more dystopian than before.
They stepped up the pace even for Mad Max.
I prefer Mel Gibson's Mad Max. If I were going to put them two together, not that I have anything with the actors involved for the movie not Thunderdome or anything like that. Mad Max and Road Warrior, those two films, I felt were better movies.
Well, the original, you still had a sense that there was a kind of form of government in place, that there was still some kind of order. By the time you get to Fury Road, there is clearly no order whatsoever.
By the time you get there, there's nothing going on. But it was gorgeous to look at. It was a visually pretty film. But storyline-wise, I got bored to tears. And I guess if I'm not grabbed by the story within the first 20 minutes of it, I kind of get lost. I watched the whole thing, and I will say it's a good film.
But you're right about the story. It was we have to get from point A to point B and not die.
Yes,
and that was about it.
And it was point A to point B back to point A, and that's what really got me. I was like, why did you turn around?
Yeah, exactly.
You just did all this to get here. Now you're turning around. But I don't know. It's. I mean,
Well,
again,
I get
I'm
that
not
they
going to say.
turned around. I get that they turn around to set things straight, but Jesus, God.
What about Stargate?
The original Stargate?
The original Stargate.
Oh yeah, just a absolutely beautiful, lavish film and a great story.
And more recently, from the same director, I actually enjoyed. I know quite a few other people that enjoyed the second Independence Day film for what it was. It was a over-the-top, out-of-this-world adventure story.
Popcorn flick. Yeah.
Yeah, and it got panned, it got canned, and I'm not saying it's a great sci-fi film. I mean, it has issues.
But pretty good.
But pretty good. Not as good as the first one. And even the first one's pretty cheesy.
It really is.
But again, it was it was not an escape kind of thing. But I don't know, it just I would say that the second Independence Day film, while not horrific, it wasn't great, but it's an underrated sci-fi film because that's exactly what it is. It is more of a science fiction movie than the first one was.
I've never seen a film defy physics more than that film, though. Holy crap!
True. Well, you haven't seen the latest Transformers.
Yeah, well, let's not go down that road. You already vented for 45 minutes.
Yes, yeah, you have not seen the latest Transformers movie.
No, you were quite clear last week on
Yes.
that one.
Okay, I'm going to throw this one out there, and we'll just see if you guys think it's underrated or if it was rated well. The Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within.
Elements of that movie were good. And not just visually.
I thought the whole plot was overdone and poorly executed.
Which is why I say,
There's a good movie hidden in there somewhere.
I heard the same thing in regards to another film. Geez. A couple buddies just watched it. Damn. I have to look it up. Oh, the new Pirates film. There's a good movie hidden in there somewhere.
Yeah, there really is. Somewhere in that mismatch, there is a good film hidden in there. It has the potential. It just
maybe it takes a couple sittings. It's one of those.
It might take a couple of sittings, or it needs a fan to go in there and clean up all the extraneous stuff that needs to be taken out of it.
Side note: Transformers: The Last Night is currently made $278 million.
Go figure.
Whereas Wonder Woman has made $660 million.
Now, you know what's really funny? If you go to all the geeky sites, all of a sudden DC is not so bad anymore.
No, of course not.
It's almost like they got on a bandwagon.
Yeah. It's like, there was one I just read. It's like, what the DCEU is doing right. I was like, are you kidding me? 2 weeks ago, you had an article about how horrible the DCEU was.
It's a very dark universe overall right now, but with Wonder Woman kind of brightening it up a bit, maybe they're changing their tone.
They pointed out some of the stuff that I don't think people were getting, was that DC wasn't changing their characters to fit the movie. They were not altering their characters to fit film. They were taking the characters that are on the page and putting them on screen. Whereas Marvel has altered quite a bit to make the characters fit.
I thought of a sci-fi movie that's really underrated. Brazil.
Yes, but that has a cult following.
Yep.
Kind of like Buckaroo Banzai.
And Dredd. Dredd's got apparently a cult film now.
Yes. And Buckaroo Banzai is another one that, even though it's got a cult following, everybody's like, what movie are you talking about?
Gattaca is also really good.
Yes. That is a definitely underrated sci-fi film.
Oh, yeah.
Gattaca, it was like, made my head spin. I was like, whoa, what did I just watch?
Never watched Gattaca.
It's good.
It's not an action movie, like, by any means, but it's really good.
It's very cerebral, but yeah, what a story. It's wow.
What about Surrogates? The Bruce Willis sci-fi film.
Oh, where they've got like robot
Avatars.
bodies or
Everybody has
whatever.
an
Yeah, everyone has an avatar. Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either.
My favorite Bruce Willis sci-fi movie would have to be Looper, and then probably 12 Monkeys.
Day After Tomorrow was really
Looper
good.
was okay.
Oh, the ending of Monkeys was so messed up. Oh my god.
Looper is awesome. I loved Looper.
Who directed Looper? Isn't he involved in Star Wars somewhere?
Yeah, he's that the guy directing the next one?
Give me a second, I'll find it.
Ryan Johnson.
I think so.
Directed by Ryan Johnson.
Okay.
Edge of Tomorrow, I think, was one that was. I mean, it did really well. It was really good, but it was still a bit underrated. I felt it could have done a lot better, in my opinion. But
I think
Edge
we
of
started
Tomorrow's
this
fantastic.
off with. We started this whole conversation off with like the big one that's the most underrated sci-fi film.
John Carter.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alistair, before we went on the air, made a point of one that was underrated. Even though it's underrated, and I mean, is it even out where you can watch it anywhere? Alistair, you there?
Her?
Babylon 5 film.
I don't even. Maybe it's on Go 90. Let me see.
I believe Go 90's just the shows. Well, I mean, any underrated sci-fi movie list has to include Dark City.
Oh yeah, Dark City is one of the. It's a guilty pleasure. Go back to every once in a while and be just like sit in awe of. It's like I see where every sci-fi film that had that whole. I mean, it was like he took the Matrix. It's like the Matrix stole from it. He stole stuff from Star Wars. I mean, it was like all mishmashed into one. And it was, I mean, it's a good movie.
Apparently, it made $0.2 million over its budget.
What did Dark City?
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, because it really is an underrated sci-fi film. Good, yeah, Wolfie, definitely. That was like nail on head right there. Boom. I forgot about Dark City, actually, yeah.
Now, I have to make a recommendation. It's something I stumbled over several weeks back. Someone turned me onto it, and it just flipped me out. It's a little short indie film called Kung Fury.
Oh,
God.
With the Kung Fury.
That was so fun.
Oh, my God. I mean,
completely indie.
Yes.
Completely. And the thing is, if that was a feature, I'd sit down and watch it.
I mean, the fact that Netflix picked it up. And you can watch it on Netflix. I was like, because he released it for free on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I sat there, I watched the whole thing twice, and I was like...
I'm more shocked that they actually got
explains
David
the
Hasselhoff in
Laser
it.
Oh, I showed it to my son, and he said, I didn't realize what I needed in my life until I saw this.
He's right.
He's a big fan of the 80s. You know, he loves these schlocky 80s films and stuff, and it just blew him away. I mean, the kid was just in hysterics by the end of it. It was great.
Explorers.
Oh, yes. Now, that one was so strange and different.
It came and went. I remember, my God, I'm old. I remember when it was in theaters. And I remember it's like my mom, big sci-fi fan, and we didn't get to see it until it was on VHS much later. And my mom, I remember my mom saying, it's like, why did we not go see this in the theater when it was out? And I was like, I think we wanted to, and you didn't want to. You said it looked stupid. But it was like it was another one of those where the ending completely blew your mind, and you're like, it couldn't be any more 80s.
And I was just going to mention someone's name, and it flew right out of my head.
I want to plug that hole.
The EMH.
Robert Picardo.
Yeah, Robert Picardo is in that. You know.
Yeah, was it? It's like Ethan Hawke, Robert, and who? It was basically the Goonies in space.
Well, yeah, but Robert Picardo is that alien.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Of course, Robert Picardo is also in
Total Recall.
Again. Yeah, he is.
Thank you for writing Johnny Cab.
He's also in Legend.
That's right. He plays the witch.
Yeah.
Legends is another one of those underrated.
Yes, it is.
People was like, oh, Tom Cruise, Legend. It's like, but watch the film.
But it's great, and Tim Curry is spectacular in that.
There's always Silent Running.
Yep.
Iron, what is it? What is it? Iron. What's the one with the Nazis on the moon?
Iron Sky.
Oh God.
Iron Sky. Oh
that is
God.
It is so ridiculous.
But
It's funny to watch.
It's a fun movie to watch.
Oh, it is. I'm not denying that in any shape or form. It's just
Well, I
They
love
made
the
a sequel.
fact. Well, I love the fact that it half takes itself seriously, which is great.
Yes. Kind of like Sharknado.
Sharknado is just something that needs to die.
They're going to keep making them because people keep watching them just because of how bad they are. And I think they're now writing them bad on purpose. I think the first one they were trying to do something different and like, oh, well, let's try this. And by the third one, they're like, people love these things because they're so off the wall.
So
I've only seen the first one.
So it's becoming like Kung Fury, you know?
Yes.
Well, if we're going to talk about Iron Sky, we need to talk about Star Wreck in the Perkinning.
You know, I've never seen it.
I have yet to see that, yeah.
Isn't that kind of old?
It was produced, well, it was released in 2005.
That's not the stop motion animated one.
No, it's actually some really, really good CG. We should at least watch some of the space scenes after the show. It's a parody that crosses over both Star Trek and Babylon 5.
Excellent. I think Babylon 5 is underrated sci-fi, just in general.
But isn't it all in German though?
Yeah, that's when we're just gonna watch space scenes.
They have yet to dub it over in English.
Yeah, it's actually not in German, it's in Finnish.
Oh no, see, if it was in German I might be able to get the gist of it. But in Finnish, no. That's a language I never started.
No offense to our friends in
But
Finland,
you did finish it.
He's here all week, folks. Try the deal. Make sure to tip your waitress.
But German's cool because you can get the gist of what they're saying if you listen hard enough.
Uh-huh.
It's Germanic. Finnish, not so much.
No, not so much.
It's like listening to Polish. Polish, it's one of those languages, it's like, it all sounds the same. It's when you hear like Spanish, like native Spanish speakers speak Spanish. It is it's like, how do you understand each other? You talk so blasted fast. It all sounds like one word.
Yeah, but if you think about it, we probably sound about the same to them.
We do. I'm sure we do. I mean, we're used to hearing English or at least American. I mean, there are times I hear Irish and Scottish spoken, and I'm like, what did they just say? Like Irish when they speak English?
Well, I know the fact that English word order is so set in stone throws a lot of people off.
District 9 is another one of those.
Never saw it.
It was a guilty pleasure film.
It's a guilty pleasure.
Yep.
It's good sci-fi, underrated,
and a great moral.
Yeah. But it's I mean, it's not a great film. We talk about good sci-fi, not talk about great sci-fi. Unlike, say, John Carter. I think John Carter was a great sci-fi film that was just underrated, but it's like the original Battlestar Galactica is good sci-fi, underrated. People say they think, oh, well, 80s sci-fi, it's a Star Wars ripoff. No, if you go back and watch the original series, while there were some clunkers in the original, I mean, it was only one season, but it was good sci-fi. Written, and I mean, it's a product of its time, kind of like Space 1999. It's funny watching the old things like that, where Space 1999, they're talking about like 1985, like it's so far in the future. I miss Space 1999. I wish I had Hulu. I don't have Hulu.
Yeah, they should actually do a new series and have it set in a time period like when those kind of sci-fi films were more regular. Play out the whole well, someday it'll be 1985, and they'll be looking at the future that's already passed.
Like Back to the Future.
Kind of like that, but also not.
How many of you guys have seen the original Metropolis? Fritz Lang's Metropolis.
Oh, it's been ages.
Nope, unfortunately.
I honestly, when people say, well, think of a sci-fi movie that you have to watch, I will always tell them to find that film. Find the one that the Germans cleaned up and made nice. And because
the 1927 version?
Yes. The one, the black and white silent film. I know there was a huge restoration done on it back about 10 years ago, maybe 8, 9 years ago, that Kino Films out of Germany did, and they released it on Blu-ray, and it's like a seminal sci-fi film that if you haven't seen it, some of the stuff is hard to get through because you're reading and stuff like that, but it is such a good film and so well put together and mind-blowing when you think that this film was created 100 years ago. Almost 100 years ago.
And that all the effects are practical.
Yes. That it's all practical effects. It's in-camera effects, it's practical effects, and it's just... But the storyline itself is, it's pretty cutting as the story goes, the mechanization of the world and things like that. And it's very well done. And there's another one from that era, Things to Come. That is another sci-fi film of the silent era that is just like, yeah, you need to watch it. So there's those. Those are, and they're underrated because nowadays everybody wants the big splash and splash on the screen, and more effects and more this. But for like sci-fi, that is one of those where it's like, oh, go back and watch that. You'll get drawn in.
Well, when you talk about gotta see kind of films, When Worlds Collide is a good one.
Yes.
The original War of the Worlds, amazing,
but not as underrated as say some of the newer films.
not underrated. Yeah.
No.
And Forbidden Planet is
yes, it's the best Star Trek film never made.
Right.
And it's like, well, all of the 50s sci-fi, some of them, when people say 50s sci-fi, they think cheesy and stuff, but no, there's some that are just mind-blowingly well done. The Day the Earth Stood Still is the original, not the remake. The remake was horrible.
Oh, terrible, yeah.
But the original is just like, what do you mean? It's in black and white. And I've done that. I caught my own kids, like, but it's in black and white, it's old. I was like, watch this movie.
Well, we were talking about Brazil earlier, and the other big underrated sci-fi movie from Terry Gilliam that a lot of people haven't seen is Time Bandits.
Oh. Yeah. I've seen that one like a dozen times at least.
That is a great movie.
It nails me every time.
Now, I will admit, the first time I watched it, I was like, what in the hell? But I think I was too young for it the first time I watched it.
It's hilarious. It's I don't think it meant to be as funny as it was. You don't laugh at Time Bandits.
Oh, it's funny. It's got its funny moments. It's
But it's definitely one of those that I don't think a lot of people haven't heard of Time Bandits.
I've seen it. Well, I've seen, saw it sitting around in like rental places and such, but I never actually watched it.
There was I'm trying to remember. It was a Walter Koenig movie set on the moon. It was called Moontrap.
Yep.
That was a pretty good sci-fi film.
It was different.
Yes. It came out around the same time as Life Force and a few other ones from the 80s.
Life Force, there was a good one.
Moontrap, is that where something that's like robot thing, whatever, took over bodies and such?
Oh, you know what? Now I'm confused. I might have it confused with another film plot-wise. This is bad. Hold on, I gotta look it up. I remember watching. I've seen it a couple
Life
of
Force
times.
was basically, for lack of
Space
a better
Vampires.
description, Space Vamps. Yeah, Patrick Stewart.
Space Vampires. Yes.
We get to see Patrick Stewart in Inside Out. It's lots of fun.
Oh yeah. And you get to see Matilda. I think it's her name. Matilda something. She's naked for like 90% of the film.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Walks around sucking the life force out of everybody.
Absolutely buck naked. Yep.
I think that's why it got the R rating. I don't think violence-wise it would have got an R rating. It was the fact she was naked all the time.
All the time.
I have a soft spot for Species, but that might be because my stepdad took me to see it in theaters, even though I was way too young for it.
I like The Relic. Came out around the same time. About the creature. It was almost mythical, right? It was like a hybrid of all different kind of creatures. It was just weird. Michael Madsen, the chick from CSI was in it.
No, that's Species.
Is that Species?
Yeah, Ben Kingsley.
Who's in Relic?
I don't know, but Natasha Henstridge, Mark Helgenberger, Forrest Whitaker, Alfred Molina, right. Michael Madsen, Ben Kingsley. That's Species.
This actually was not a bad film. Definitely had some horror aspects to it. Not very well. It's sci-fi, but also not. Definitely horror to it. Some aspects to it. Wasn't bad, all in all. I think.
Is Relic the one where like the thing is like evolved from like a cockroach or something?
No, that is Mimic.
Okay.
Mimic was the one where the giant insects were mimicking humans.
I have seen Moontrap now that I finally found the page for it. I saw it on Sci-Fi.
Okay, another guilty pleasure, and I haven't seen this film in ages, but I remember it vividly because it was just so damn fun. Treat Williams and Joe Piscopo in kind of a sci-fi, sort of a horror film called Dead Heat. It's actually a buddy cop film with a weird sci-fi bent to it, investigating a murder. But he comes back from the dead because this experiment is some kind of resurrection thing. But he's only got so long to live before he dies for good, and they've got to figure out, who killed him and what the hell is going on. And it is just nuts. It is absolutely nuts, and it is effects laden. Just a crazy film to watch.
Equilibrium is one of the most underrated sci-fi films.
Oh, the one with Christian Bale?
Yes.
Gun kata.
It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
It got overshadowed by The Matrix.
Some people absolutely despise that movie. Other people love it.
I rather enjoyed it.
I loved it.
Well, you have characters that are based on that.
No, not based on it. They're inspired by it.
Here's one because I've only seen it once. What about AI?
Trying to think. Is that the one
Steven
where...
Spielberg one?
Haley Joel Osment. Yeah.
I
took over for Kubrick.
Isn't Jude Law in that movie?
Yeah.
I hated that film because it just drug on and on and on.
It was ponderous, and it's like, so again, somewhere inside there was a good one.
The one from 2001?
Yeah, it was Stanley Kubrick was supposed to direct it, but he died. So Spielberg picked it up and ran with it.
It was a case, so probably the first quarter, half of it maybe, was good, and then it should have just ended there, but then it just drug on.
It did. It went off on a tangent, and I think Spielberg got lost.
Yeah, I think so too. It just kind of ran all over the place.
It probably had Kubrick directed it, probably would have ended up
even
different,
by
but
I was say even But by Kubrick standards, that's a long film.
Another movie that it's considered a classic and lots of people talk about it, but not many people in this day and age have actually seen it, is Forbidden Planet. That movie is amazing.
Strange Days was another one. The one with Ray Fiennes.
And we should, as a side note, probably start wrapping things up. We've gone on for quite a while here. I do want to mention quickly, though. I know, sorry to kind of cut everything short. Wolfie, yes, you were right that we now know who's the War Thor.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention
Volstagg.
that last week.
Yes. The funny thing is, when I saw the cover for it, I was like, I wonder if it's Volstagg. And sure enough, it's him.
Did you read it?
Oh, yeah, I've got the book, and I was like...
There is a reason he became the War Thor.
Also, who's looking forward to the first Inhumans trailer tomorrow? As of this recording.
Yes.
Is that the one that leaked like a month ago?
Yes. Teletran doing the crazy. It's that time of night. It's 11. It's quarter after 11, and all of a sudden, my internet connection becomes fee.
It's all Tate's fault.
Are you sure it's not just because I entered the room?
You're fabulous, but you're not that.
The door opened and a Fig Newton entered.
It's
and if you could tell me what that's from,
like you misspelled something.
Who misspelled something?
I was making a joke.
Oh, ha ha ha! You slide in on a rainbow, did you?
Damn right I did.
Well, if you're gonna make an entrance, make it a good one, right?
Always.
There you go. So,
Make
okay,
it worth
wait.
remembering.
I got cut up. How bad did I break up on talking about the Volstagg?
I didn't notice hardly any breakup.
Same here.
That was a vicious scene.
Oh yeah.
That's not right, Tank. Where did you get that from?
Somebody on Facebook posted it. Inappropriate quotes.
I'm not saying that live.
Yeah, probably shouldn't.
You won't.
That would come off.
That's great. Oh, that should totally be part of the show name.
I don't think we can do that.
We just killed Jim.
You broke the Jim.
Well, it's dead. Give it its last rites.
It's broke, Jim.
It's dead, Jim.
Well, you can always try to buy clothes at the soup store.
Or at the clothes store.
I'm half tempted to say it, but I'm not going to. Also half tempted to spoil the Thor thing, but I'm not going to. You got to read the book. I will just say that it is a vicious. It breaks a rule that I know films had for a long time. You're not supposed to show that kind of stuff on screen, or you weren't.
Our after show chat, maybe we can talk about it.
Yes, we can talk about it. But you have to, again, I don't want to spoil it for anybody. It is definitely one of those, you have to read the next chapter to find out what's going on. But the scene itself involving why Volstagg does what he does is pretty vicious. And why he becomes the War Thor. And why he picks up the hammer.
As much as, and I was talking with buddies about this yesterday, is that as much as Marvel's writing can, well, it kind of just falls flat most of the time, some of those books that they have are pretty good. And the ones with the Mighty Thor have been doing pretty good, I think. Some parts of it is a little wonky, but overall, they've been pretty good.
Aquaman has been getting really good, too.
Well, the DC stuff, the character. Finally. Potentially, anyway.
You broke up on my end so bad just now. I heard none of that. I'm not even
what was
sure
the
that
last
went
thing you
through
heard?
the stream.
I heard it.
On the DC side, and then it went dead for me.
Yeah, that's the DC side. DC side is doing pretty good. Superman, they've been they're nailing the character again. You got that now?
Yes.
Okay.
Aquaman has gotten they're shifting gears with Aquaman, and they're making him a vigilante of sorts in his own world.
Yeah, you see who's going to be the primary writer and artist?
No, I didn't.
There's a fellow that was on DeviantArt. He's done Switched, which is a alternate version of the Witchblade story.
Hmm.
I can't recall his name or even how to pronounce it.
Cedric something?
Something like that. He's got some really great he's got a really great art style and great sense of humor. It's going to be pretty awesome to see what he does with it.
Yeah, I mean, they've darkened it up. The whole, if you haven't been keeping up with the storyline, he's been dethroned, he's been exiled, he is believed dead, and they've basically turned him into the Batman of Atlantis. Which, for the character who has been mocked for, I don't know, 45 years now, it's finally nice to see a storyline where it's not, I mean, he's had some pretty strong storylines in the past, but it's a pretty cool storyline they're going with right now.
Yeah, let's be honest. Super Friends really wasn't his brightest moment.
No, it hurt. I think that and the Filmation series from the 60s just hurt Aquaman, and that's what people see when they think of Aquaman. And I'm hoping that Jason Momoa's character in Justice League, as well as the new stuff in the books, kind of breaks that mold.
Yeah, why do you think
the DC animated universe one should have broken the mold?
True.
It should have.
But then we had Brave and the Bold, which kind of threw it back to the days of Super Friends.
Uh-huh.
Well, he was a mix of the two. He was super strong, but also very campy.
Oh my god, he was so campy in that show. That whole show was campy.
Outrageous!
I was just say there is a reason why I usually go the whole whales joke.
Yes.
I blamed the Robot Chicken DC special.
And
I would have blamed Team 4-Star.
Secret Empire right now has got me so ticked off. The last Captain America comic, Captain America Steve Rogers comic. I hate that character now. Hate him with a passion. I read that book and I was like, why? Just oh nope, sorry.
Don't go messing with the formula. They gotta mess with the formula. Why?
I don't know. They messed with it enough now where Captain America, he is just, you hate him.
I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm still waiting to see. I've been buying the books because if I'm going to with Secret Empire, I'm waiting to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not buying any of the extra books because that's just too much work.
Well, you just got to hope that they're going to throw a twist in it somewhere where, double agent or something, you know.
Well, there's two Steve Rogers.
Yes, but we haven't seen the other Steve in a while.
So something's going to happen. The question is what. And they still swear up and down that this is the real Captain America, and I still think that is full of crap.
Problem is there are two Captain Americas even within the unit because of a certain storyline from like half a decade ago.
No, Sam Wilson gave it up though.
Well, no, I'm talking about Steve Rogers. There's the Steve Rogers from what's the guy's name? Yeah, there was a mix-up. There was something before the Cosmic Cube stuff. Like right before that happened, there's something going on there where he might be the real Steve Rogers, but so is this other guy. They're both Steve Rogers.
One like from 616, the other from Ultimates, maybe.
Possibly that, or they're both from 616. They're just like a coin.
Duplicates.
Duplicates.
So, I just think you guys might find this amusing. I'm at what you could say is like the Secret World version of Hogwarts.
Yes.
It's called Innsmouth Academy. And I just found an instructor's ID tag, and the instructor teaches applied necromancy.
Ew. I know necromancy doesn't mean what it sounds like it means, but sorry. I read the joke in there again.
Hey, it's a good thing to laugh on. Probably a good
Yes,
one
because
to
it would
end
be
up.
it would be a great show title, but I'm so not gonna say it out loud.
This one says abnormal biology.
Okay, another underappreciated film, The Frighteners.
Never saw
Michael J.
that.
Fox?
Yes.
Yes.
You had Arlie Ermy in it.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was a fun. Should have made more of a splash than it did. Wasn't that what's his name? Lord of the Rings man? Wasn't that his?
Peter Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, it's Peter Jackson. We should. It's 2 hours, guys. We should probably. We got to shoot this horse. Not kill the rabbit. Shoot the horse. But yeah, next week. What do we? Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Don't forget to. We got Star Wars, the new Star Wars cartoons coming out on YouTube on July 3rd, and on the Disney Channel on July 9th. So they're going to be free and free again. Well, not free, but if you have cable, you can watch them. What's that called? Destinies. Star Wars Destinies, where it's all
Forces of Destiny.
Forces of Destiny. Yes, the female characters get their time in the spotlight. Princess Leia, Rey, Jyn Erso, and a lot of twists and turns. I guess Anakin's back. Ahsoka is. I mean, they're going to have episodes involving everybody. So, the animation looks a little chintzy, but I'll watch it.
It's, I think, based directly off one of their artists' style. So, can't remember his name off the top. I think it's Grant Gold. Looks very similar to his art style.
Yes. It just doesn't look as clean as like Tartakovsky stuff. It doesn't have that. It's not as smooth moving. It's more choppy from what I've seen. But I'll watch it. I mean, it's going to get backlash. How come it's only female characters? How come it's only the women? I don't know, because for 40 years it's always been the dudes.
I think we can share.
Well,
share what?
I'll let you think about that.
The limelight.
Yeah, we'll definitely share the limelight. Yeah, I have no problem with strong female characters. I think it's fun to. I mean, what would Aliens be without Ripley?
Right.
It would be they won.
What? Yeah. What would Xena be without Xena?
Gabrielle.
Oh, Gabrielle.
Oh.
Sorry.
Bruce Campbell in Ancient
Sorry.
Greece.
She was always the attractive one. Sorry. Like Xena, yeah, Xena's all good, but Gabrielle.
I can't argue the point.
Hand that girl a bow staff and watch her go.
She'll still kick your ass.
Yes. It's like I don't get it. Share the limelight, guys. How come no one complained like this when we had Captain Janeway for Voyager?
Right?
I think they did. It's just that it was probably more direct to like the studios, and then it just petered out.
Yeah, and social media
quiet.
wasn't as big.
And now we can't help but hear it.
Yeah, now everybody's got a voice.
Not everybody needs to use it.
Nope.
As we say on our podcast.
Yeah. Yes. But you know what? I'm not screaming and yelling and telling anybody they have to listen to me.
It's nice if they do.
It's nice if you listen to us. Can we be a little rough around the edges, crude, rude, and socially unacceptable at times? Sure.
But we also know when to not go down that road, like the
Yeah.
joke that was put in our chat that we can't say.
And yes. And yeah, because there are certain people that would find it offensive. And honestly, it is kind of offensive, but it's still funny.
It was a woman who posted, I should point out.
I am sure. And I know, honestly, I would say, I bet you a woman posted that. And you know what? That's fine. I was trying to think one for the man side, and I can't think of a cool one. But
did I say something bad a couple of weeks ago? Was it
no?
Me? Oh, okay.
See, I have on this show actually had to apologize, like a show later, because I might have sounded a little too male centric, chauvinistic in times. Something I have been have been told I can be at times, but it's not really. I mean, that's not me. I mean, I will be the first one to tell you that my wife is my partner, and she stands by my side, not behind me, not in front of me. She's right there. I mean, we are equals.
It's easier for her to smack you that way.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not that way. It's like I will never sit there and without tongue firmly in cheek or jesting about it be sexist for the sake of being sexist. No, not that person. I'm not. I try not to be bigoted anyway. I'm teaching my kids the same thing. It's like people are people. Let them be.
Oh, side note, before we wrap up,
We are wrapping, but go ahead.
Moontrap apparently had a sequel.
It did.
Ish.
But it wasn't Koenig, right?
No, it wasn't Koenig, and it's called Moontrap Target Earth. It's not a direct sequel, but it's a new standalone adventure.
All right, then.
But they're alongside it, so who would have guessed? And it was released February of this year.
And if you can, before we wrap this up, go find a nice little movie called Slipstream that starred Mark Hamill. And you can giggle all the way through it. Kind of like
Wait, we're not talking about the Guyver?
Oh no, you can giggle through the Guyver too. Because woof. It's like the Power Ranger movie that wanted to be. Oh man, it was bad.
Oh, terrible.
1989 science fiction film, that one?
Yeah, with its 5 sequels or whatever it was.
It has a rotten score of 20%.
It's what, Slipstream or
Slipstream.
Yeah, it's woof. I guess Mark Hamill needed the money at the time. But we will end the show. We'll be back next week talking probably, I'm going to guess we're probably going to get some Discovery news in the next couple of days. I don't know why, but I just have this feeling. I know that we will have Inhuman news because we're getting a trailer tomorrow. There's other stuff dropping tomorrow. They always drop on Thursdays. We need to move the show.
I agree.
Move it to what?
Thursday night or something.
We moved the show because news was coming out after us, and then after we moved the show, news started coming out after us again. If we move the show to Thursdays,
they'll move it again.
Stuff's just going to start coming out on Fridays.
Well, now all of a sudden movies are coming out on Tuesdays. Did you see this? Was it something just opened on Tuesday? I was like, who opens on a Tuesday? Transformers open on a Wednesday. What's up with that? But that's neither here nor there. I'm sure there'll be more stuff to talk about next week. Maybe we'll get some more behind-the-scenes drama from the Han Solo film. I hope not. But, I don't know. I just don't know. Jim, you going to be with us next week?
Absolutely.
All right, then.
Ah, damn it. I mean, great.
And remember, folks, Discovery is not Axanar. It never will be. It never was. Oh, and if you want to read the script, go online. It's floating around out there. Ah, I'm sorry, I have to giggle. It's still funny. The drama that goes on over a little fan film that, like, 1/8 of 1/8 of 1/8 of the fans of Star Trek really care about. The only reason it's in the limelight is because Paramount sued a fan. That's it. I bet you so many people who heard about that were like, what? There are fan films? But neither here nor there. Anybody else got anything?
No. Negatory.
Negatory.
Nope. I'm good.
We're going to do some after show talking, and we'll discuss more of the Thor stuff off the air. So you guys can't hear us. But I think I'm done, so I'm going to say goodnight.
Good night.
Later.
They're going to say goodnight. And we'll be back next week. I hope.
You hope?
I hope.
Hi-ho.
It's off to work we go.
What'd you call me?
I called you.
I said you were a stoned prostitute.
Now you boys play nice.
And on that note... See you later.